Hi, if you like the video, please remember to subscribe.
Hi, I'm Rob from robnunphoto.com, and today I'm going to be looking at perhaps the third lens you should buy for your new Canon 600D or T3i. I say new, could be secondhand. Now, you've probably seen the videos already I've done where I talked about once you've got your 18 to 55, after a few weeks or maybe a few months or maybe even a few hours, you get a little bit frustrated with the kit lens. It's not long enough, doesn't give you the focal length, doesn't give you the zoom that you really need. And the second lens I think you should buy is the Canon 55 to 250 EFS f4 to 5.6 IS lens. Super lens, super sharp, fantastic quality, really beautiful lens. But maybe if you've been shooting for a while, you'll get a bit of gas, a bit of gear acquisition syndrome and think there's something else, there's something more I want. And you've probably read about them when people talk about the lenses you should buy. And so I think if you really must, then the next lens you should buy, and indeed I've got in my collection of lenses, is the Nifty 50. This is the Canon 50mm f1.8 prime lens. So what's special about these lenses? Well, the first thing is the price. You can pick them up, I think, on Amazon.co.uk. In the UK, they're normally round about £70. I think probably on Amazon.com, maybe $100. They're cheap lenses. Now, this particular example we're looking at here is an older version of it. This is the 50mm 1.8 Mark 1. The difference is it's got a metal mount and it's got like a distance scale on it as well. Functionally though, and quality-wise, I think they're probably much the same. I did have a Mark II a couple of years ago and then sold it, but I managed to pick this one up from a car boot sale. I won't tell you how much I got it for because you'll probably feel a bit sick. Well, actually, it was a £5. Came on a film camera, but really nice lens. Now, what makes them special, apart from the price and the fact they take nice photographs, is the fact that it's a 50mm f1.8. So look at that. See that hole that's letting the light in? If we compare that hole there with the hole that's on, that's the standard kit lens. See the hole? Yeah. And that's 51.8. Look at the difference in that. So the aperture, the hole in the lens that's letting the light in, is much bigger. So what does that mean? Well, it means that you can use the camera in light conditions that are a lot darker than you could with your kit lens, because quite simply the lens lets in more light. So shooting indoors in natural light, maybe you're shooting inside a castle or interiors, or doing a bit of urban exploration, all that sort of stuff where you don't want to use a flash. It's too dark for the image stabilization to really be effective, and so you need that maximum aperture. Or you're in a situation where you need a faster shutter speed to freeze action. So maybe you're doing say you're doing basketball or something inside, and the people are close enough for you to be able to use a 50mm lens, but you need that wide aperture to give you a fast shutter speed to freeze motion in the people who are running around, and it can be very good for that. Though actually using a 50mm for a sports lens probably isn't that good idea unless you're very close to the action. What makes them popular amongst amateur photographers, and I mean pros tend to buy the f1.4, but with amateurs with the f1.8, apart from the price, is the fact that what it can give you is photographs with very small depth of field, because the other side effect of having a large aperture is small depth of field. So that relates to the amount of the photograph that is in focus. So for example, if you were taking a picture of me now with a f50 1.8, you would see me, and it was set at f1.8 or f2 or 2.2 or 2.8, you would see my face in focus, but the background would be nicely blurred. Very popular amongst wedding photographers and portrait photographers in general, and that's what the 50 1.8 can give you. And normally to get that maximum aperture you have to spend an awful lot of money. I mean, you just look at the prices of things like the 28 to 70 f 2.8 pro lenses from Canon, the L ones, or the 70 to 200 IS L lenses. They are we're talking thousands and thousands of pounds for those sorts of lenses, and yet for less than £100 you can get a 51.8 to do the job. Now there are a couple of caveats. There are a couple of things to remember when you're shooting with a 51.8. Is the fact that it's a little bit telephoto. It's a little bit zoomed in on a crop sensor body like the 600D or T3i. 50mm lenses were traditionally fitted to film SLRs back in the days, say in the 70s up to the early 80s, before cheap zooms became available that were reliable and were nice and sharp. Because it kind of gives you a good field of view when you're looking through a film camera's viewfinder and taking photographs. Some people say it's equivalent to sort of what you would see with the human eye. I'm not sure about that, but you know, it's not too wide, it's not too telephoto, things don't look too distorted. However, when you fit the 51.8 to a crop sensor body like a 600D, 700D, 60D, etc., that crop sensor means that the equivalent focal length is a bit longer. He times it by roughly 1.5, 1.6. So that would take it up to something like a 75mm lens, which is quite telephoto. So you wouldn't probably be using it for nice wide-angle shots like landscapes or architecture or anything like that. But it does make it very interesting for things like portraits or anywhere where you want to cut out a selection, because you know you're just getting a bit of the scene to take in that way, and it's very, very useful for that indeed. So I would suggest that if you haven't got one already, the third lens you might want to buy for your Canon 600D, Rebel T3i, or any other Canon DSLR would be the 50mm f1.8, the Nifty 50. It's cheap, it's good, it gives you a fast shutter speed, it gives you a wide aperture, which means that you can get very narrow depth of field. Okay, that's it. My name's Rob from robknownphoto.com. Thanks for watching.